Hey, and a very warm welcome to the Into the LightWeb podcast with me, your hostess, Joanna Hunter, metaphysical teacher, spiritual life and business coach, published author, and the high priestess of the LightWeb, a spiritual technology that will change your life. This is the place to be to talk everything under the LightWeb, from consciousness, relationships, to money, to spiritual business, and everything in between. Hi, it's Joanna Hunter here for another episode of Into the LightWeb podcast. And today I am joined by my fabulous guest, Lindsay Myers. How are you, Lindsay? Come and say hi.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Come and tell people what it is that you do in the world.
So what I do is that I do a lot of mediumship as well. So I feel like that's like the number one kind of healing tool for some people. I also do like the Akashic Records healings for people as like a spiritual healer. I can help clean like some of the energy. I remove some of the like blocks. Yeah, and that's what I really love to do. I love more the healing aspect of it. I do a lot of tarot readings as well. Yeah, I do quite a little bit of everything.
Amazing. And me and you have been on quite a journey together. It's been epic to see your journey unfold as much as it has unfolded. It's been absolutely wonderful to see. So tell us how you first got into our world.
It was actually when I was postpartum with my first son. I was in such a negative mindset. And my mom actually introduced me to you. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll take the Akashic Records course, which I had no idea what it was. I was kind of like drawn to it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna like try it and see what works for me. And I really kind of opened up my intuition more, and things were so amazing. And then I got addicted, and it was like course after course after course. And then as soon as I started changing my mindset and being the person that I always wanted to be and who I'm becoming, it was a really good feeling. So I wanted to keep going on with it.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And from that journey, you've like established your business more as well, right? Because it was kind of like you had your toe dipped in there, but now it's like opened up this whole kind of world to you where you are working with clients, doing healing in the Akashic Records, which was like a kind of new tool for you. Your mediumship has really opened up massively.
Yeah.
Your intuition has opened up, which is beautiful to see. Tell us one of your favorite things from our world, because we know that you're LightWeb activated as well. So tell us what been like one of your kind of biggest shifts or one of your favorite things in the world.
One of my favorite things, I just love having to give people like the darkness, that the knowing that there is light and that it is possible. I was a little skeptic at first because I was really nervous, like how this is all gonna work out in the light web, but it's really opened up my whole world like again, and I just love it.
Amazing.
I'm so nervous.
That's okay, no worries. So when you're working like with spirit, tell us a little bit about your psychic journey of like, you know, before you came into our world. Obviously there must have been something there, like something spiritual there. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, what was that journey like for you to where you are now, where you're actually working with clients and stuff like that? But what was it like in those early days?
The early days, I had no idea what the heck was going on. At times I thought I was going crazy, which I now learned were like spiritual awakenings, or like some of your dreams that you would have that would kind of like come true, and kind of that sense of kind of knowing kind of something isn't sitting right. That I had no idea like what was going on. I didn't know how to use it. I tried to like block it out because you try to be normal. And I did have it a lot when I was younger because I did have an imaginary friend, which I turned out to be my grandmother. So as I was growing up. And I didn't know that was spirit. And then, when you go to, you try to fit in a lot. Even when I was like in my early 20s, I always wanted to fit in. And that was like really weird for people. Like people didn't understand it. So I just kind of turned it off. And then I got reintroduced to it with you. And life has just been amazing ever since. And it's just so cool how everything works out. And now I love it. Now I don't even care. Like I accept myself for who I am now, and I get to help others. And life is just amazing.
I love that. I love that, Lindsay. And that's it, isn't it? It's that feeling of like what we do is we betray ourselves, don't we?
Yeah,
We try so hard to fit in, and in trying to fit in when you're psychic as, and you're trying to fit in and you don't fit in really because you just don't fit in that society mold,
right?
because you've
Yeah,
got all this, like you've got all the empath stuff going on, picking up other people's emotions, you've got spirit buzzing around. You're right, you do feel like you're going crazy because like everyone else is kind of like looking at you thinking what is going on with that person. And so
yeah,
the biggest thing that you do want is to fit in, um into the world, but in trying to fit in we end up betraying ourselves, right? Because we end up feeling even more alienated, even more out of sync. What would you say to someone who's like maybe listening to this and they're in that place of where they're feeling like just in that darkness, in that place of like betraying themselves just so that they can try and fit in, but even though they're trying to fit in, they know that they're not fitting in?
you're unique. You're supposed to be different. I don't feel like we're meant to fit in all the time. Like, you're gonna find your people. Um, and I think that was like a biggest thing for me. I just learned to accept myself like 2 months ago, knowing that I don't have to fit in. I am who I am. You either accept me or you don't. And if you don't, then I kind of don't really need that in my life, really. And just keep doing what I love and keep doing what I do.
I love that. I love that. And that's so powerful and potent, because what we do is when we
Mhm.
are betraying ourselves, like trying to fit in and literally be accepted by everyone, but not accepted by ourselves, right? Like we're not accepting
Yeah.
ourselves, but we're hoping that everyone else is going to accept us, right?
Yeah.
And as we do that, it's like not only is it that self-betrayal, but we never ever stop for a moment and think, do I actually want to fit in with these people? Is this
Right.
what I want to fit in with? Right? Like we don't stop for a moment. We're just so hell-bent on fitting in that we don't stop and like ask ourselves, like, is this really what I want to fit in with, and stuff like that. And I know that when I got to that level of self-acceptance for myself and I said, no, this is me, this is who I am. I come with a whole lot of extras like psychic abilities, mediumship, all the things. Like I come with all that, and and this is who I am.
Mhm.
And just like you either like that or you don't. And if you don't, then yeah, you know what, I'm good without you then in my life. And I think that's such an awesome place to be, where you are in that place of self-acceptance, that actually like who I am and I like what I do in this world. And if somebody comes across that and they're not so keen, then perhaps I'm not their person, right? Like that's,
Exactly.
and letting go of that, being willing to let go. But when I was in that stage of what I would call self-betrayal, of like really just trying so hard to fit into society's norms, I think that was such a difficult place to be, because not only do you have all the psychic stuff going on, but you also have the self-betrayal stuff going on as well, and you feel so out of sync. And that for some people can cause like low mood and depression. And I know that that was
Mhm.
something that I experienced. Was that something that you experienced as well?
Oh, yeah.
It just brings the vibe down, right? Doesn't it?
It brings up, yeah, and then people just say, "Oh, you need to get medicated, you need to get medicated." But then I felt like when I got medicated, it kinda shut everything off, and I wasn't who I really was meant to be or who I was. It just felt so weird. But,
Yeah, you feel like out of it, don't you? Like you just feel like
yeah,
you're walking in syrup or soup or something like that. And you're so
yeah,
divorced at that point to your internal truth and to who you are. And I
mhm,
think it's so important to honor yourself, like honor if there's weirdness going on. What would you say to someone who's in this position? Like, because obviously, your mom introduced you to me and my work, right? And that's opened up this like entire thing. You are now doing this for other people. You are opening up the world for other people, which is such sacred, incredible, amazing work. And, you know, as your mentor in many, in things like the Akashic Records and the Lightbringer, you know, we've got the testimonials to prove it. Your case studies were phenomenal. And they were amazing, you know, so it's so exciting to know that you're really doing amazing work in this world. But like, what would you say to someone who's in that position? Because I really do feel like that is where a mentor comes in, right? That's where somebody going to you, for instance, and getting that help, getting on that first rung of that ladder to really start realizing, okay, well, maybe I'm not so weird. Maybe these are actually abilities and I'm not embracing them.
Yeah, it's change. I think it's change is hard. You know, it's scary taking that first step. Like I was scared crapless taking that first step, because you don't know what's going to happen. But then I had a lot of anxiety, and then coming to you and kind of explaining things and talking to other people in the world, which is incredible, knowing that you are not crazy, that this does happen, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a magical thing, and it's just taking that first step and getting rid of the anxiety, the fearing, like you said, the fear of not the known, the fear of the unknown. Um,
Yes,
and
that's
then it,
huge, isn't it?
yeah, it is. And pushing past that fear, it's scary, but it all unfolds, and trusting the universe is the big one too, right?
I know you've had a lot of wins within the community and stuff like that. You found like kind of like your peeps inside our communities and stuff like that. It's been
Mhm,
really lovely to find like-minded people.
mhm.
What has that done for you in terms of like your confidence and the terms of like, oh, hey, maybe I'm not so weird, like, because I've just found out where basically all my weird sisters are.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, it's actually the first time I felt like I belong somewhere.
Mm,
Um, and that's why I think I'm at a state now where if you're not like, if I'm not meant for you, you're not meant for me, that's okay. I can let go of it. But I have the support within the community, and that's what I really love about it the most. It's just somewhere I can be myself, I guess. And I am myself all the time, but it's just like, you
you
can
can
talk
truly be
about things.
yourself. Like you don't have to kind
Yeah.
of like, I think, you know, it is very difficult in society not to try and edit yourself and to be fully yourself, you know, like because I think society has such very strong opinions and views on what is normal. And there is such a narrow paradigm, right? And if you deviate slightly from that, it is hard not to want to edit yourself in order to fit in, you know. I think that's really hard, and it takes, you know, the journey that you've been on. You know, this is why I get so excited, and this is why I wanted to do this LightWeb series of, you know, the ownership that it takes to own all of who you are, and the courage that that takes of like saying, you know what, if you don't like me, that's okay. I'm good with it. You know, like I don't need your approval to live a good life. Like I can live that good life without your approval. But
Mhm.
if you are one of my peeps and you really love and you really dig what I do, oh my God, we're going to have so much fun together. And there's so much that we've got together. And I think that's such a powerful, courageous journey to do, because you're standing up first and foremost for who you are, but you're also standing up for everybody else to be able to express their individuality, which I think is so important.
Yeah, I agree.
Tell us a little bit about your mediumship work. So you obviously in mediumship, if you're brand new to this channel and you're wondering what mediumship is the ability to connect with departed loved ones. And I'm a medium as well. And that's kind of like, I suppose in a way that's kind of how my journey started as well, with developing my mediumship and things. Tell us what that's been like to be able to give that gift, because it is such a gift to be able to give to another human being, to connect them with somebody that they had thought that they had lost forever and ever and ever, and then for them to actually realize that they continue to live in the spirit world and make that connection. I mean, for me, it just fills me up, that work.
Mhm. It At first I wasn't really a fan of it because there's some messages that you have to deliver that you don't want to deliver. But then you realize like that's what they need to hear. That's what they need to do for their healing process. And knowing that some of the stuff that I don't know, could be between them and that you can like say to them and like, oh my gosh, like you do know like this is that they're actually here with me right now. And it's yeah, it's really amazing giving those messages that they need to heal to hear to heal from.
Yes. It is amazing, isn't it? And it's like that. And you're right, you know, when you are a medium, your like tough gig, because sometimes you do get those messages that are hard to deliver, but like in knowing we deliver them with love, and that's the most important thing, that they're delivered with love, because sometimes that truth hurts, right? It hurts, and when we have it delivered, we try and do it in the most gentle, positive way that we can. But living in truth is way better than living in like a big river in Egypt in denial of what's going on and then not being able to heal because of that. When we live in the truth, we get the opportunity to heal.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your decision behind becoming a light bringer as well. What was what did you decide? How did you decide to jump into that? Because you were already LightWeb activated. You'd already done our Akashic records, so you decided to continue learning with us and jumped into our Lightbringer program. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
I was so drawn to it. I'm like, you know what? I have to do this. And I was manifesting the extra money that I needed to take the course. And then for some reason, it just popped in. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This is meant to be. We're going into this. And
I love how I love manifestation stories of like, I really wanted to do it. And then the money came, like it's happens so often in my world. It's so amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, it was just a little bit tight. I'm like, hey, you know what? If I really want to take this, and it just popped up my bank account. So I'm like, hey, we're doing this. And I didn't really know what it was about either. I just kind of like jump into things. I don't really think things through. I just, if it feels right, then that's when I jump into it. It was the most amazing experience ever. Like I really enjoyed it. And helping to like remove some like the blocks and like learning more with meditations and learning like tracking energy. Like that was a little bit of a struggle for me at first, was tracking the energy, but it's really amazing. And I don't know, I love it.
I love that. I love that.
I just love learning.
That's amazing. That's good. So your business is called Lindsay's Loving Light.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the story behind your business name. Is there a story behind that, or is it just like, this is what I want to share?
There was a little bit. This wasn't the business I thought I was going to have. So at first, I wanted to just empower kind of like women. Like my mom and I worked together, and then all my psychic abilities and mediumship and everything just kind of like opened up. And then I continued to learning, and I'm like, okay, well, we should probably change the name, because I don't. There's nothing wrong with our first name before, like Celebrate Success. There's nothing wrong with it. It was just I didn't feel like it really matched with me. So I wanted to say, okay, what about Lindsay's Loving Light? Because like I want to bring lightness, and I want to bring more love, and I want to bring like more healing to everybody. And yeah, that's pretty much like the story of it, I guess.
I love that. I love that. And so you work online as well, right? So that's another thing that's really cool, because tell us a little bit about your home situation and stuff like that, because you've got baby on the way. We've got already a baby. He's the cutest baby ever. Little baby Cameron. And then we've got mom, and we've got hubby and everybody and like that. So tell us a little bit about like the flexibility of being able to work online and work from home. Like that's got to be amazing, right?
Yes. I always wanted to work at home. Well, I never really wanted kids, but then again, things changed. And I'm like, now I'm addicted to having kids because they're so awesome. And I want to be a stay-at-home mom. So, but I wanted to make some money. And yeah, it's luckily like I have a really supportive mom who helps me babysit while my hubby's at work. And so I can start working or taking courses and all that kind of thing. But it got really hard when my maternity was up and I had to go back to work and still learn and still kind of work. I was like so exhausted all the time. But it's been busy, but it's really nice because we all work really well together and they're really supportive of me. So I'm really grateful for that, actually. Like I'm really grateful for that. And that allows me to work from home and get to where I want to be.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And when you are a mom and you're about to become a mom of two, when you are a mama, then it's like, it's harder, isn't it? Like, to try and get those hours and things like that. And you've really, like, one of the things that I'm really always so impressed about is like how you've prioritized your education, right? Like, because you're not just doing this for you, you're doing that for those babies, you're doing that for your hubby as well. Like, as you're growing your business, like you're literally like growing not only a business that's making change and impact in the world, but you're also growing a business that's going to make massive change and impact to how your family is going to live in the future as well, right?
Yeah.
And it takes courage to prioritize the education for that, right? Like it's not something that is something you've had to work at, right? Like you've had to show up to the classes, you've had to show up and do the work. And I just want to kind of like acknowledge that. And what has that been like for you? Because I mean, obviously some days with your life being so busy and so full, it would have been easy to say, nah, I'm just going to have a duvet day, or nah, I'm just going to watch TV, you know?
There's been a lot of those days. I think it was hard at the beginning because I knew I had to change my mindset. I knew I had to change my life around. I knew this wasn't the life I wanted to live anymore. There was something so much bigger and better out there for me. Um, it was hard at first because I had to be away from my son for a little bit. Like I had to take that time to take the class. Sorry, take the classes and to take time for myself. And I felt like a horrible mom. Like I just wanted to be there for him because you love your kids so much and you want to be there for them at all times because they grow up so fast. And it got a little easier as he got older, but when he was like really little, it was a real struggle. Um, but then he comes Mr. Independent, so it made things a little bit easier that I can start working on more myself and do everything on the classes. Um, but I also had like a really supportive family that says, you know what, you can't take time off. If this is what you really want, you have to be able to do it, right? And then I would sit with myself and say, yes, this is really what I want to do. And so I just knuckled down and got to where I want to be. And here I am today, taking all these new opportunities. And we do family things now, like we go to like trunk shows or we do like holistic healings where my son and my husband will come visit and all that kind of stuff. So we try to do things so I don't not so far out of his life, Like, I hope that makes
That's
sense.
amazing. That's amazing though. I mean, like, and it
Yeah.
is, it is finding that balance, right? Like that's what it is. It's about finding that balance, but also as well, like who you are today as a woman, a mother, and a wife is way happier as who you were back then, right?
Yeah. This was definitely not my 5-year plan. Like 5 years ago, I was in a different relationship and now I'm married, 2 kids, a whole new business. It's just amazing. It's amazing feeling a new person even for that matter.
That's amazing. I mean, you have been on such an incredible journey of just unfolding all of this. And if you think about like the period of time that you've been in our world, right, and what you've unfolded in that period of time, like what is that next like 2 years going to look like, or what is that next
Yeah,
phase going to look like? I mean, it's just like it's so exciting when you think about that, of like how far you've come in relatively short periods of time, and like what is that, like you start to get excited for the future again, and you start to think, oh my god, what's that going to look like in 2 years time? When I think of what has happened to me in the last 5 years, I cannot even imagine what it's going to look like in 5 years time. Like I know it's going to be epic, but I just have no idea. Like I can't even wrap my head around how it's going to top this, but I know it will. And you're probably in that situation yourself as well, of like knowing that you've come so far in 2 years, what's going to look like in the next few years. I mean, it's going to be insane.
it is. I'm so excited for it. Normally I'd be so anxious, but I'm like, you know what? There's nothing to be anxious about, You don't need that anxiety. The future is going to be there and I'm just so excited for everything.
Beautiful. I love that. Have you got any big plans for your business? Is there anything that you're working on? You're working on creating any courses of your own, or what is happening in your world? Tell us all about it.
I would like to start doing some courses. I don't think I'm fully really ready for it because I'm starting to get the hang of the whole mediumship and healing. I'm starting to get out kind of in that way. Um, yeah, I just love doing what I'm doing right now, but eventually I would like doing more courses or even like more meditations. Definitely keep up leveling. That's all I really want to do right now too. And
Amazing.
yeah,
And we've got baby number 2 literally in imminent. So you're gonna obviously gonna be taking some time off to be mama and everything, and just be in your little baby bubble and your baby moon and enjoying that new life that is coming earthside. Tell us, if anyone is sat here and they're sort of sat and they're listening to your journey and they're thinking, you know what, I really resonate with this idea like of not feeling like I fitted in, feeling some days like I was going crazy and stuff like that. What would you say to someone like that now? What would your advice be for somebody like that to going forward, and how they can start to like tap in and start to shift their lives, right? Because you have, I mean, your life is night and day compared to the way it was when we first started working together and coaching. So tell us a little bit about what that looks, what would you advise somebody else to do? And I mean, you're in such an amazing position where you can actually help and advise somebody now and be able to even take them on that journey.
That's an amazing feeling. I still can't get it processed through my head that this happens. I can do that now. Um, you just really want to have that change, and that is possible. Like, again, change is scary, but you just gotta like take that first step to kind of go for it. And getting the help that if you need the help, getting and receiving the help that you need, trying something new, even for that matter. And it's just, yeah, I think you just gotta take that first step and just go for it.
What was your motivator for the first step? Was there like an underlying thing that was kind of like, because I know for me, I got to a state of being really sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that became a massive motivator for me. That was like the idea of living like that for longer than a year, longer than 5 years. I was like, no, I don't, and that's what was like, okay, I was willing to do the scary thing if it was just going to change something, because I was really, really, really wanted that change for myself when I was at that stage. For you, what was your motivator? Did you have something like that that was kind of really pushed you over that line, pushed you over that edge that said, nah, I'm doing this now?
Definitely my son Cam. He changed my whole world. Well, I don't want to say he changed it, but like I did because I want to change myself too. I was such a negative Nelly. I was really negative about everything. I was really angry. I was really bitter. I know it's hard to think of it now because I'm so like happy now and bubbly. And it got to the point where like I need to start my life. Like I'm 28 years old. I need to like start my life. So I wanted to make those changes, and I wanted to be a better wife. I want to be a better person. I wanted to be a better mom. Well, actually, I wanted to be a mom because it was so new at the time. And I just wanted to be a better person all around. And I wanted something better for myself and my family for that matter.
I love that. And it was like that was just like that desire for better was your motivator. I love that because, everybody finds their motivation in different things, right? Like I find my motivation in being sick and tired and calling time on that. I was like, this cannot go on. Like I knew I needed to be the change, right? And it was so frightening to do those first steps of, I was working offline, but to move my business completely online, that was a massive pivot for me, and it was a massive change. And then of course I had to learn everything about online business and all the things, which has unfolded this incredible journey. But at the same time, it was a lot. And you taking on this journey that you've been on, it's been a lot too. It's not a journey that I call for the faint of heart, that are like, if you think you're going to chuck in the towel within 10 minutes, then don't do it. You're not ready. But for you, you were ready, and your motivator was that desire to be a better person. I love that.
It got to the point where I couldn't even stand myself. Like I was just all the negativity and everything else. I needed that change.
That was a big, I think living in your, like, one of the things that we never really think about is that we live in our own minds first, right? And when that mind is such a negative place, it is such an uncomfortable place to live, right? Because everything that you do, you might be telling yourself the story, it's not enough, you're not good enough. You're looking at life through this like very crappy lens of like, well, what else could go wrong? You're almost expecting the disaster. And it is that is a difficult gig. That is a difficult place to live if you're experiencing that in your mind. And I think what your story really stands as a beautiful testament to is that that is actually a choice to live there. You can choose different. And yeah, it takes courage. Yeah, it's scary to change. But the fact is, the fact that you have changed your life, the fact that I have changed my life, it really, really is possible to change that.
Yeah.
And today, tell us a little bit about what it's like to live in your own head today, right? Because it's like you started to create a life that you're obsessed with.
It is. I'm still trying to get used to like having like spirit come to me all the time. I'm still not used to that yet. I feel like my mind is mumbo jumbo all the time right now. There's just so many opportunities that I feel like are coming towards me. There's my business actually just started taking off this month, and like 3 weeks ago, she got like really really busy. It's like, oh no, not again, get birth tomorrow. Like,
No,
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna
go
be
take some
fine.
time off. Yeah. And so oddly enough, though, I had to ask for a sign, and usually my signs are like purple bunnies because I'm obsessed with like bunnies. And I thought purple bunnies are like hard to come by. So I'm like, okay, so if my business is gonna take off, is it okay that I can take time off and be a mom and all of that? Well, then I turned on my Facebook, and then there was my little cousin who was born had a purple bunny in the picture with her. So I'm
Oh
like,
my
oh my God,
God.
this is my sign that I'm gonna be okay. I'm okay to continue learning, and life is gonna be great. And it's okay to take a little bit of time off just for me.
Course it is. Of course it is. And enjoy that baby. I mean, we live in, when we switch our consciousness into an abundant consciousness, it, that flow of abundance doesn't dry up because life is happening, right? Like we can
Yeah.
still go out there and do like incredible things, and we can take time off and build, businesses that are supportive of our home environment, not just supportive of us financially. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people's businesses. The businesses are only supportive of them financially. They're not supportive of them as a human being,
Yeah.
right? And like, what's the point in building a business if it only supports you financially? Like, it should support you as well as who you are. It should light you up, something fierce.
Mhm.
And you've built that. And of course, like, enjoy that time off that you're going to take with baby on the way. It's so exciting. It's been such an honor, Lindsay, to have this chat with you today. And tell people where they can find you on the interwebs. Where are, if they're listening to this and they're like, I want to check this Lindsay out, maybe I want to have a reading and things like that, then and maybe they want to get on the waiting list, right? You can maybe start a waiting list for after baby arrives. So like if they want to get on your waiting list for after baby arrives, let people know how they can do that. Tell us, where are you on the internet?
So I'm at lindsayslovinglight.ca. You can also find me on Facebook at Lindsay's Loving Light. I'm also on Instagram. I'm also somewhat on TikTok. Um, and you can find me there as well.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lindsay, for calling in and coming and having a chat with me today. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been so amazing.
Oh, you're so welcome.